It's always exciting when someone comes along who doesn't follow the crowd. Someone who travels continents to find himself and comes back with a wealth of experience to take on the world with. Today, we have an artist with a confidence not many can match, a humbleness many could do with, and a raw talent and determination to see it through. But before we begin, please subscribe to the channel, click on the bell to receive the notifications, like, share, and get involved in the comment section below. So now, let's get into this. On today's Sofa Chat, we have R&B singer-songwriter Sweet P.
Blessings, man.
How you doing?
Thank you. It's an honor to be here, man. It's an honor to be here.
Bro, you know what? Anyone who can come into the interview with a hat like yours is welcome anytime. That's style, that's class.
Thank you very much.
Do you know what I mean?
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about your beginnings?
Like most R&B singers, I started off in the church, like singing in the choir. My family sing, like, you know, my parents, and then I joined the R&B group for a little, you know, 4 of us when I think I must have been 13, 14. You know, we grew up like listening to Boys to Men, and I think for me it was like I've always sang, but I never saw anybody on TV who looked like me.
I know someone who kind of reminds me of you.
Okay.
Huggy Bear in Starsky and Hutch.
I mean, I'll take that. I'll take that. Thank you very much. I'll take that. So yeah, so we started off doing that, and in the group we ended up getting signed to a little label, and then we were signed to a booking agency called Mission Control.
In the UK?
Yeah, in the UK,
okay.
yeah. So we went on tour and had a little single. And like a lot of groups, we had different ideas of where we wanted to go. Some people wanted money, some people liked girls, some people were doing it for the music, and we ended up splitting up.
What were you doing it for?
The music. I mean, you know, well,
all your songs are about girls, bro.
Well, you know, my songs are about my experiences. So,
with girls?
Hey, listen, my lawyer told me not to make no comment, but you know. So yeah, so me and my cousin were the lead singers. So there was 4 of us, but me and my cousin were the lead singers. So we carried on. And we've always looked at America. You know, we grew up listening, obviously growing up in England, you listen to so many different types of music, but our parents influenced us to listen to like Motown, you know, and jazz and that type of stuff. So we thought to ourselves, like, if we want to be the best, we gotta go where the best are. So we went to New York, put a little bit of money together, got on a flight, went to New York, and we just started singing on the street and on the trains and all that. And eventually we met some record companies and ended up writing for a few people, working in the Brill building, where, you know, Jimi Hendrix and got to work in Burt Bacharach's studio. So again, but these are people I didn't even know. I only knew their music, which is crazy.
But you're just naming some of my like heroes, people I look up to.
Yeah.
Hendrix, Burt Bacharach, like that's crazy, bro.
It's funny because over the last couple of years, obviously we're gonna get into it, but I've been working with, you know, Bushkin, and he's been teaching me about legacy and that type of stuff, and I've been fortunate enough to meet some legends and you know and rub shoulders with some legends, and I didn't even understand what the universe was doing when it was doing those things. So, you know, when you said those great things about me, I realized that I'm standing on the shoulders of some
giants.
of these people, you know. So yeah, I know it's a big responsibility. It's not just, you know, you don't take them things lightly. So yeah, so we went to America. We done all that. Got to meet Akon and worked a bit with Konvict music, and then came back to London. And started ghostwriting for people. And then I went to Jamaica, and done an album with Bobby Digital, the late great Bobby Digital.
So can I just clarify? That's Bobby Digital in Jamaica, not Rizzo.
Yeah. So again, I didn't know who he was until I came back to London and people told me, you know.
Only to find out he's like probably the biggest producer in Jamaica.
Yeah. I mean, I believe he's the only reggae producer to win 2 Grammys in a row. So he won one for Shabba Ranks.
Okay.
Yeah, he done that Shabba Ranks album, which he allowed me to do a track.
When you were sitting in the studio working with him, did at any point it cross your mind, if he's done Grammys, Why can't I?
Well, yeah, do you know what's crazy is when I started making music, strangely enough, Michael Jackson, I'd seen that video of him holding his Grammys, right? When he won all those Grammys, right? So I was a kid, I didn't understand it, but I've got a really strong vision of that. And so I always thought to myself, yeah, I wanna hold, do you know what I mean? That always played in my brain. And it's been like the journey towards that. And then along the way, I've met these, again, I'm working with a Grammy Award winning producer. So it's almost like the universe telling me like, you're on your way.
What was the name of the group that you were with in the beginning?
We were called Unison. So
Okay.
UNYSON. And again, me and my cousin, we still do music together, and that's our little secret, Unison. And we will one day put out. That's what is our dream. We're gonna put out a Unison album, just for the love of the music.
You mentioned you went to America, and
Yes.
you mentioned Konvict Records.
Yes.
But I swear, you've also spoken to me and said that you had dealings with Death Row and Def Jam.
So my old manager, he was the first guy in the UK to work with Suge Knight, and a guy called Ron Winter, and so I believe, which you can go up and check, Ron Winter Productions. They were in control of the whole Death Row catalogue outside of North America. And he had done that deal with Suge Knight. So I think the first artist they were signed was Mark Morrison, the Row, as the Row. But yeah, we started working with him. He managed Dionne Warwick and Gladys Knight. So again, like for us on this road, like these are people that, you know, I heard singing in my mum's house, you know, the records. So to be within touching distance of that, it was only inspiring us. It was only, you know, again, it could only be the universe, because I'm just a kid from West London just trying to make my way.
So have you ever got close to that point where you're like, yo, I can be working with Dionne Warwick, I can be working
Well, funny
with...
enough, we've got a record. We have got a record in the archive that they so kindly let us, use.
You know the point where you were talking about Michael Jackson with the Grammys, before you explained what it was about, the awards?
Yeah.
There I was thinking you're going to come out and surprise me and say Michael Jackson called you and said you wanted to do something with you.
No, but I will say, do you know what's crazy? It's funny that you say that. I will tell you a story. So Akon was over here, and he was playing records that he'd done with Michael Jackson. You know, there was a time when he worked with Michael Jackson. So myself, Akon, my cousin, Akon and his cousin, and his old manager, I think he was Prince's tour manager.
Okay.
So we were all in there, and he was playing these records, like Michael Jackson records, and it was unbelievable because, again, I'm just a kid from West London, and these, you know, I'm sitting here listening to unreleased Michael Jackson songs. And he, you know, and he told a story which, you know, I'll never forget. His cousin told a story, and he said when they were in Jersey and they didn't have any money, they were just on the corner, and a car drove past and it was playing Beat It, and Akon said, one day I'm gonna do a record with that guy. And his cousin, who we were sitting with at the time, laughed. And I'm sitting there listening to Michael Jackson records, and it's like, you can't write this stuff. But again, I was privy to it. You know, I've got to thank the universe for that one.
Where do you think your positive nature comes from? I mean, like, because we live in a time where there's so much negativity and it's hard to stay focused and whatever. So what keeps you balanced?
I mean, I was raised in a spiritual home. I come from, my parents came here as refugees. So we came from humble beginnings. I mean, they were from Uganda. They came from the Idi Amin time. So, but obviously I wasn't born at that time. So when they came here, I was born into humble beginnings. But my mum always installed it in us. You know, she always told me about these three things: loyalty, respect, and honor. And when you're a kid, you're just thinking, what are these words? These are some medieval words. You see it on the TV, you see it in, like, you know, these medieval movies. But my mum would always say things along the lines of, like, you know, loyalty is priceless. You know, like, you know, you have to be honourable, open doors for ladies, and all these things. I didn't realise that these things are the measure of a man. These things are the things that when you know, like, I know it sounds funny, but when you give out positivity, you get positivity.
You said something to me about your mom teaching you also not about following crowds.
But it's so funny because, like, my mom always told me never to follow the crowd, right? Yeah. And I'm the youngest of my siblings, and I was always a bit strange. I was always in my own world, imagining things, like, because we didn't have much.
But that's where you are now. You know what I mean? That's why you do what you do now.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Who wants to be normal?
No, I get that. But when you're a kid, you don't. Again, like I look at my nephew, and he's a bit like that. He's in his own world, and I now look at him and realize, like, myself, where I was, and the beauty of imagination. Because everybody, all the great entrepreneurs, all the great, you know, artists, they've all got really big imagination.
But you know the thing that I find odd is that when you see children that have that, generally you shun them and you push them to the side, like, stop talking shit and blah blah. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But imagine, like, you know, you had people like Michael Jackson and whatever. Look what they went on to achieve from being strange. Look at Prince. Look at all these other people. Yeah. And look at all these, like, I don't know, maybe Mark Zuckerberg was strange one day.
Of course. Well, he would be to somebody because it would sound crazy than what he's dreaming up.
Yeah.
And I think it's crazy because me and Bush were talking about it the other day, and he was talking about, you know, you can't mark the dots. You can't look at the dots going forwards. You have to look back at it and be like, oh, it connects like this. Do you see what I mean? So in the same sense, with that imagination, at the time it seemed crazy. Even when I was a kid, and I'm just imagining these things, and I didn't know what I was thinking. But now I'm looking, I'm saying, wow, that was something something put in me.
Did you ever at any point feel like maybe this was God saying something to you?
Yeah, 100%.
And you believe in God?
100%.
Obviously, because you're a churchgoer.
100%, I believe. I mean, you know, even when I write songs, people always say to me, how do you write these words? And I'm just like, you know what? I don't find the words find me. Do you know what I mean? And I feel, that's how I feel like, you know, it's my purpose. Everybody's got a purpose.
Knowing some of the things that you've told me, like you told me about an experience to do with your mom and the house and everything. Yeah. I don't know if you want to discuss it here. You don't have to.
It's fine. I mean, when they came to London, obviously, around those times, racism was, I can't say it was greater or smaller, but it was very intense because, you know, I think the world's changing, it hasn't changed. And they lived in Surrey, and the house was burnt, was set alight by, I guess, racists that didn't want them in the area. But do you know what's crazy? You know, everything, you know how they say every cloud, because I wouldn't be talking to you now, maybe if that didn't happen, because they were living in Guildford. So from that, as refugees, we moved, we got some refugee housing in West London. Again, I wasn't born yet. So these are all events that lead up to, you know, to where I am now. It's crazy because at the time, obviously, like I said about the dots, you can't work out where it's going or what it's leading to. Or that's part of my story, but it's also, it's part of, I feel like it's part of my strength. It's part of, because my mum went through that, my siblings went through that, but then they installed that in me to understand where I am, what I'm doing. Like, there's obviously an important reason that I am here. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it's like, I take that as a plus as well. I
think that says a lot about your mom as well, just to have experienced that, because a lot of people would turn very bitter, very twisted, very angry at the world, and do you know what I mean? But she obviously saw the children as like, 100%. You know, I got to guide them, whatever. Yeah,
let me shout out my mom 100%, because like when you asked about the positivity, I didn't directly connect that to her, but it is her. My mom's a very positive person. Do you know what I mean? And she's been through a lot in her life. Yeah, my mum is an integral part of who I am. You know, she raised me by herself. Do you know what I mean? And you know, I know in England as a young black boy, do you know what I mean, to raise a black boy into a man and to have certain morals and standings, like I can only take my hat off to her.
There's something that you said to me that also stuck. You know, where you say something about in every limitation there's a possibility.
100%.
You know, again, that's quite a deep statement to make and whatever, and or those who've experienced certain things will understand it. But for those who don't understand it, do you want to just quickly?
So I understand that a lot of people feel like, yeah, in the UK, like R&B is, you know, it's hard to break with R&B and all these things. But actually, I'm in the clubs every week, and I hear when you might drop certain records, but I can tell you that when I go on the mic and I say, I'm just a bachelor, the club goes crazy. And so there's certain records, like sometimes when I play people my music, they're like, oh, that sounds like 90s classic R&B. And I'm like, there's certain records that from that time that you could play at any dance. They could be playing drill and you could drop, do you know what I mean?
And it'll just go off.
Do you know what I mean? You know, and that's, to me, that means that to that limitation, there's a massive possibility. It's just, it's gonna take some bravery. It's gonna take some, you know, like what my mum instilled in me, determination, dedication, like, you know, just, I heard her saying that to make it in the music industry, you're gonna hear 1,000 no's before you hear your first maybe.
You know what? That rings so true to me as well. Like the number of people that I know that have had to take rejection, you know, but it's not about the 10, 20 years of rejection. It's about that one moment that comes after that can change not just your life, but everybody's life around you. So it's about, I know people that have been really close to making it and given up.
Again, I'll shout out Bush again. He told me about a book, I think it's called 5 Feet from Gold or something like that, which is about a guy in the Wild West kind of days, and he was digging for gold, you know, when all the pilgrims were digging for gold, and he was like very close to the gold, but he didn't know it, and he gave up. He'd been digging for however long, and he sold all his equipment to this other guy, and the guy went to the same place he did and found it. And it, you know, things like that, you know, stick in my brain because I think a lot of artists, you know, like you might be, I mean, I think of, you know, the Wrights brothers that made the plane, stuff like that, like if they had just said, because I'm sure they tried however many times, and it probably sounded crazy to everybody, but if they had just said, nah, and they're giving up, where would we be? So I always think about them type of things, like you wake up every day and you give, but I think it might be easier for me because I got faith.
And you're always smiling. I noticed that while you're talking. Is that all I've seen is a smile?
Come on, we're here, man. Like, bro, like when I think about where I've come from, like I'm sitting in the studio being interviewed by a legend. Yeah. Like it doesn't matter what anybody else says. Like I'm winning. There's a purpose for everybody. You know what I mean? And I always look at that. For example, animals. You know, a lion wakes up in the morning and it does its purpose. You know what I mean? And I think that's important. When I was a kid, I remember getting down on my knees and praying. And you might think this is weird, but again, I was a strange kid. I was about 8 and I said, I want wisdom. And then from that day, things just started going wrong. Like, believe me on that, things started going wrong from when I was 8. And when I turned 18, I remember sitting there saying like, bro, come on, man, like, what's going on? Looking at this guy, like, what's going on? And someone told me that you get wisdom from experience.
Oh, what? So when you said, I want wisdom, you thought it was just going to come?
Yes. Yeah, no, again, I'm 8 years old, so, you know, you can't blame me, you know, but yeah, that's that.
No, but we can laugh at you, though.
Yeah, you can.
Strange kid.
You can. and you know, I'm not saying I'm, you know, super wise or nothing, but I'm just saying that, like, I think everybody has to be accountable because I feel like we ask for things and everything has a price in it. So, you know, if you wanna have a good body, you gotta work out. If you wanna be intelligent, you gotta go and study. Do you know what I mean? If you wanna be good at something, you gotta work it.
Yeah.
But there's a price to be paid. So I think that, you know, when people are bitter, sometimes we're looking at them in the mirror and blaming other people instead of, you know, like looking at ourselves.
You mentioned that you'd gone over to America.
Yes.
Why America?
Well, it's the home of R&B, and they're the best. I mean, I remember getting on the train in New York and hearing this guy sing, and he sounded like Luther Vandross, and he had holes in his shoes and all that.
So I mean, we've seen it in the Rocky movies and stuff. People are there with trash cans, fires, singing away, and they're incredible.
Yeah.
When you went there, did you go there with any intention to kind of just jump in one of these bin sessions?
Me and my cousin, we used to go on the train and we used to sing. We used to like busk on the train.
Yeah, you said.
Yeah, so like, we were never afraid of that. And it's funny, like, when I listened to myself back then, like, I've got recordings of myself and I listen now and I'm like, hey, like, I used to think I was singing like Luther Vandross. But it was like our heart.
Singing like Kylie Minogue.
Yeah. Well, I think it was worse. I don't think we could even give Kylie that because Kylie's right. But we were, but we was just doing mainly from heart. We were just singing, and we were like, we used to have this thing where it's like, either you're gonna think we're crazy or you're gonna think we're good because we're going to give you our all.
Or they're just gonna think you're good because you're crazy.
Yeah, man, we were giving our all. So I get that. So
you know that thing about if you believe, then
100%.
you can convince others to believe.
100%.
So maybe that's what you did to some people.
Yeah.
You never know. If you put a record out that week, you could have sold 1 million.
No,
not realized.
I completely believe it because we used to be on the trains just singing anything. We would try a cappellas. We'd try anything we could do. And so when we was like, you know what, that's what we're gonna do when we go to New York. We're just gonna sing on the train. We're gonna go and we used to pretend that we used to take our luggage and go and knock on record companies' doors and pretend like put on our most posh accents and try and pretend like say we've just landed. We'd look in the book and find the name of executives and we had a whole heap of tricks. And it worked out. It worked out. I can't lie. I can't lie. We ended up meeting a lot of people, and like I said, going to the Brill Building. Do you know what I mean? Going and meeting a lot of people was.
I see, for example, with Instagram and everything, you see people like, I don't know, you could have Jesus walking past and they'll jump in a photo and go, look, I'm with Jesus, acting like they know Jesus.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course.
But with you've actually sat in these studios with all these people.
100%.
I mean, I can't even ask the question because it's like, I don't want to make it so obvious. Like, how does it feel? Because, do you know what I mean? But there must have been something to be like, why the fuck am I here?
Yeah. I mean, again, like I said about the purpose, like, when you're a kid, when I was a kid and I didn't understand, I just had this drive to go to this, to be a singer. Do you know what I mean? But I didn't realize, and those moments, what you're talking about, sitting in those rooms, were the moments that reminded me that this is what I'm meant to be doing. Because along the road, there's gonna be pitfalls. Like I said, the 1,000 no's. Do you know what I mean? And maybe we should say 10,000 no's before you get your first baby. Do you know what I mean? So all those no's, I'm there and I'm like, okay. But then it was weird. It's like, it would be my worst day. And then, like, I'll give you an example. When we got to New York, we used to keep our songs in a record bag. And we were on 6th Avenue, the roads were really big. My cousin had the record bag on him. And I saw this Bentley come around the corner, right? And I've looked, and it's Foxy Brown, right? You can't even write this. So your car goes past, but the roads are long, right? Yeah. So she's about 200 meters away. I chase after her, like, I grab a CD from the bag, I chase after her. I knock on the window, I'm like, I'm a singer from London. She was like, I'm a singer from London. She's like, oh, cool. And I pull the CD out, and when I pull the CD out, it says instrumental.
Oh, you're joking. I obviously
picked the wrong CD, so I'm like, oh. I had a phone, so I was like, take my phone. That's something. She was like, no, I can't.
What, your actual phone?
Yeah, I had a phone. I just thought, let me just give her my phone so I can call her. You understand what I'm saying? At least, you know what I mean? And I was like, what, man? And she was like, God bless, and she left.
Did she call?
No, I didn't give her my phone. She didn't take the phone. No. But again, it was like little moments like that, and that moment actually got us to meet one of the most famous people we've ever met. But that's another story. But my point was that we didn't know where we were going or what we were going to do, but that got thrown into our path.
That's crazy.
And it's not coincidence. Do you know what I mean? That it led on to some other things.
When I'm sitting here and I'm talking to all these people, I'm hearing all these stories and everything, but it's very rare that I speak to somebody where I feel like, wow, this guy is here for a reason.
Thank you.
Do you know what I mean? I believe a lot of us, most of us are here for a reason, but when someone's got that many things thrown in the path, and I know some of the things that are thrown in the path because I've spoken to him already, then you know there's a bigger cause. So all I will say is, people out there, look out for this guy, because I believe something big is gonna happen. It's like playing a football match and constantly hitting the crossbar or the post. It's just not meant to happen. But when these things constantly get thrown in your way, you just know something big is in the pipeline. So keep looking. But you know what? You mentioned Motown earlier.
Yes.
So, I mean, while you were talking, I was there in my head. I'm just kind of thinking, rah, I know an artist that I think you need to talk to.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean? And like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna call him. Are you all right?
No, good. Yeah.
Let me call him.
I'm excited. I think I better.
Okay. So for anybody that doesn't know, if you know the Drifters, I'm good friends with Ray Lewis, and like, I think these two need to talk. I just want to introduce them here live. See what happens. Hopefully he'll answer. He's not going to answer, is he? No, he's not going to answer.
Hey,
Oh, yo, Ray, how you doing?
how you doing, baby? You okay?
I'm good, man. How's life treating you?
Yes, I can't complain. I can't complain. I really can't.
Excellent. How's them shoes you bought?
It's lovely. They're lovely, you know.
Excellent.
I had to have some new trainers because, you know, I go walking so much. I mean, I put so many hours on the street. So because of that, you know, I wear them out quite quickly.
Okay.
You know, when you're doing 5 hours a day,
Yeah.
high speed walking.
Ray, give me. I'm just gonna quickly explain. I've got you on speakerphone. I hope you don't mind. And basically, what it is I'm doing a sofa chat with one of my guests, and he's a fan of yours, a big fan and everything. And he's just told me before we started the sofa chat that he's there singing Drifter songs and all kinds of stuff. So yeah. So do you mind if I just pass the phone on to him and just for you lot to just connect live?
Well, it'd be nice to speak with the brother.
All right,
Be
wicked.
nice.
All right, his name is Sweet Pea, yeah, and
Sweet
yeah.
Pea.
So,
Oh, great
bro,
name. Great name.
yeah.
Okay. That'll work.
Hello, sir.
How are you?
I'm great. Well, I'm great now. I mean, this is amazing. This is the universe working in the craziest way. You know, when I'm upset, I can't even lie to you. When I'm upset, I'm having a bad day. That literally line. On the roof, the only place I know, where you just have to wish to make it so. So I've got to say thank you. Thank you.
Hey.
Thank you.
Damn, you sound good.
Thank you.
I should have been hiring you. I don't know if I could afford you, but if I could have, I certainly would have hired you.
I'm definitely nervous now, but this is like I can go home and tell my mum like, you don't even know. I've spoken to royalty.
Oh no. You know, we're in this mix together. You know what I'm saying? It's a fight that, you know what I'm saying, the Lord has given us each a design and you know what I'm saying, a purpose and a place, and I'm just trying to uphold that place the good Lord has given me
Bro,
to the
that's
best
beautiful.
of my ability. Just grateful to have had an opportunity, and that's exactly how it really is. Just one of us out here hanging, you know, and I'm sure you'll be there right at the top of the tree, right along with me.
Well, no, thank you so much for your time, and thank you. Just to be able to speak to you is, you don't understand the inspiration. I'm on my way, and you know, to be able to talk to somebody who's done so much and actually influenced me. Do you know what I mean? Like, you wouldn't even know. I smile all the time, but I'm gonna be smiling all the time. So thank you.
Now, when I start telling all my friends about you, I'm watching you climb the charts, I'll start telling all my friends, oh, I met the brother. Oh, the brother's lovely. I'm a brag now. I hope you don't mind. I'm going to have to brag a little bit, too, that I spoke with you.
Oh, please, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Ray, I'm gonna put you on the spot now and say, when are you coming in for an interview? Go on.
Well, I'm working my way down there.
Okay.
Working my way down there. I've got some open airs coming up
Okay.
nearby. I got some festivals coming up.
All right.
And I just need to sort of pen to the diary, find out where they are, get the logistics on them,
Yeah,
and then I'll ring you and just give you some idea, and then see if you can take an impromptu. If I can just kind of pop in on the spot, just catch you. I'll just catch you unawares.
Yeah. Bro, I'm here. Whenever you're ready, I'm here. But yeah, I really think you need to, listen out for Sweet Pea, and you never know. Maybe it's something that you can do together at some point, because he's the youth, you're the inspiration. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
listen, I wouldn't love this. I just think it's absolutely amazing. I feel like what an honor. You know what I'm saying? That the youth have decided to use our music as a catalyst. You know what I'm saying? To grow from, to learn from, to just revamp. I'm sure whatever you can add something to it that might take it to another level.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously the youth have got a different energy, haven't they? So you know what I mean?
They do.
And Ray, I really want you to tell your story of how you got into the Drifters, but I'm gonna save that for your interview when you come down, because that needs to be told. That story is ridiculous. It's the most crazy, inspirational story I've ever heard when the music is concerned. For me personally, that's just nuts. But yeah, can I leave you to it and get back to the interview, and I'll call you back later.
Okay, yeah, no worries. Right. Listen, man. Listen, Sweet Pea.
Thank you so much. Hopefully, I can send you some music.
All right. Pleasure to meet you.
Yeah. All right, wicked, Ray. Speak soon, yeah.
All right. Okay.
Take care. Bye. There you go.
Wow. Thank you very much. Thank you.
But yeah, he's one of the nicest guys you could have met. But his story, Jesus, you wait. I can't tell it. He has to tell it. Moving on though, you said you were doing a lot of song ghostwriting.
Yes.
And is there anyone in particular or any song out there that we might know of?
I mean, again, I'm a man of honor, so when you say ghostwriting, I don't really want to put anyone's business in the street. But what I will say is, I'm pretty sure people would have heard it. And, they would have heard them. But more importantly, do you know what it is? It's like right now, I'm stepping out. Now I'm stepping out from behind the pen.
So bit by bit, people are going to start finding out.
100%.
So when your name's popping and everyone's talking. And
yeah, we might, I think, do you know what it is? No, and let me correct that actually. You're never going to find out unless the artist
says something.
Says that it is.
So you're basically saying it's not your place to mention.
No, it isn't. But
so it's not even in the credits? And that's why it's called ghostwriting, I guess.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because and that's cool. That's But what I will say is, my music is gonna speak, and now I'm ready for people to hear Sweet Pea.
Do you think when your music gets out there and people start hearing you on a more larger scale and whatever, when they listen back to certain songs that you have ghostwritten for, they might be able to put it together and go, rah.
Yeah, I think if they're listening carefully, I think they might. I mean, but. They might. There's a lot of intelligent people out there.
I'm not one of them, bro.
I mean, I'll argue that. I'm gonna argue that.
You meeting up with Heartless Crew, Bushkin, and all of that starting. Where did it all start?
I came back from Jamaica. Again, the universe worked its way because there was a hurricane. So that was in 2017. There was a hurricane. I couldn't go back. My godfather passed away. There was lots of things going on, and I ended up bumping into Bush through another person, through a guy that we had actually fallen out. This is why it's weird. We had fallen out. I went to Jamaica. I'd come back, and I'm a person, I can't really just sit still and wait. So basically the guy called me and said, "Oh, I've got a writing session." And bear in mind, in my mind, when I'd come back from Jamaica, all I was thinking was, I'm going back to Jamaica. Because I'd only come back, got home here, so I came to sort some things and go back. So I was thinking, everybody, I was just telling them, I'm going back to Jamaica. If I'm in the petrol station and I'm going back to Jamaica. So the guy called me and said, I've got a writing session coming. My mum told me that every opportunity is an opportunity. So I thought, you know what, I'll go there. And even if nothing happens, I'm going back to Jamaica. Mm-hmm. So I went there, and funny enough, the guy that was there worked with Bush, and he heard what I was doing. He was like, yo, come down to Bush's studio, he'll love what you was doing. And it was weird. I went to Bush's studio, and again, I'm going to say the universe. I was writing, and Bush would come in and he would say stuff like, I want to make a Motown, I want to develop. He was saying all the things that were in my mind that I wanted to do. And I was thinking, like, is this guy like listening to? Is he like,
Or has he got a camera set up in my house or
that's what I
something?
thought. Like, because he kept saying these things, and then it's like, you know what? I was like, you know what? I'm gonna stay. I mean, we spoke and we met on a level, and he was like, you know, he kept saying to me, "Why are you hiding?" That's what he kept saying. He kept saying, "Why are you hiding? You've got everything you need." I said, "Yeah, I'm not hiding." But the truth of it was, I was actually hiding. Do you know what I mean? I was hiding behind writing. I was hiding behind and not stepping out there.
Yeah, I really have to say something, because I know a lot of singers, but there was a time when I knew quite a lot of singers that were doing R&B stuff, but it's like they were afraid to admit they were doing R&B. What was that all about?
It's hard, isn't it? I think it's just because it's hard, you know. And I think especially when you hear, I mean, I've heard it in the UK, like, yeah, but R&B doesn't sell.
So what? Because it doesn't sell, they don't want to admit they do it. How about you change the way it
100%.
works and
Change
make it sell?
You're right.
Change
you're right.
the dynamics.
But again, you know, like not everybody's gonna be like us sitting in a room and saying something and doing something is as you know, is two different things. So we can't blame people for being afraid. But someone I will shout out is Angel. I got a lot of love for him and a lot of respect for him, and he's somebody who showed me a lot of love. He's somebody I've listened to and who's helped me. He's somebody who's had guts, where there was nobody else really, pushing R&B. And I'm gonna throw in, I don't really like when people say UK R&B. So back to your point about Bushkin, sorry. So we met, and he's almost taken me on an apprenticeship. You know what I mean? And he's been guiding me. He's taken me. Before I met him, I said I would never go to Iron Ibiza or Glastonbury unless I was performing there. And when I met Bush, all those things happened. So that, again, the universe telling me what, and he's taken me to Croatia, he's taken me all over the place, from doing shows in front of 100 people to doing shows in front of 14,000 people. Do you know what I mean? And he's come from that when we talk about Motown, he's talking, developing, and I think that's really important. I think that's kind of gone in music. Developing, learning like when I was doing what I was doing, there was no structure to it. There was no one really telling us. Do you know what I mean? They were just kind of trying to take from us. So working with Bushkin, again, I've got to shout him out because he's somebody who's always, he's developing me and telling me what I should be doing. The performance is the importance of performance, the importance of writing, the importance of discipline.
Obviously, that's coming from someone who paved the way for so many. I mean, could you expect anything less, really?
You know what it is? He's taken me on, so I could, like, that, it's crazy because he's a legend, and like I said about when I first started, the responsibility, I understand the responsibility. That's their name. That's what they built for 20 years. So for somebody to take a risk on me, and say, yeah, do you know what, I believe in you. Do you know what I mean? You've got what it takes.
Actually, this is a good point to maybe for you to explain to anyone who's watching this that doesn't know who Heartless Crew is.
Okay.
Explain who Heartless Crew is.
Wow. Okay.
And explain who Bushkin is.
Okay, well, the Heartless Crew are a three-piece group, and people say that they were responsible for the cruise coming out of, Before So Solid and Pay As You Go and all that. They're a sound. They make garage music, but they're a sound. I'd have to say, I've never seen anybody, especially in the UK, tear up dances like these lot tear up dances. Like, the only way I could describe them is I've met people come up, walked the street with Bush, and people come up to me and say, in 2002, I was on this beach wearing this pair of shorts.
It's a moon landing.
Like, they've got a cult. They've got a cult following. I've seen people tell them, like, when you wore that Moschino, I haven't heard that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think of all the artists I think of, like, 50 Cent and people like that, and I haven't heard someone come up and say, look, because of that, I wouldn't. I hear this every week I'm out with them. People come up, my mum used to listen to this, and trust me, and I'm saying to myself, but the person is talking like they were there. They're like, you know, I was in my kitchen dancing to this. I didn't even know what. And I'm like, wow. Like, and these are the people that are endorsing me.
Do you remember that first moment when, you know, you were taken into the Heartless Crew, what it was? Do you remember what kind of flipped it for them to go, yo, do you want to be part of what we do?
Do you know what? I mean, as a collective, they never really asked me. They just kind of let me in. But Bush, do you know, with Bush, he put it to me. He just said, you know, this is what I'm doing. I like what you're doing, and I think you've got what it takes. And I was like, you know, I didn't, again, at that point, I didn't really know how big a thing that was.
So did you know who they were before?
I'd heard of them, obviously, I'd grown up in West London. I wasn't really a garage, it wasn't really my thing, but I knew, you know, I knew of them. And again, that's what makes it even more crazy, because again, when I don't really know who you are and then people are coming up, oh my goodness.
So how often do you get that when people come up and go, what do you mean you're with Bushkin?
All the time.
Do you get to that point where you're just like, oh, just leave me alone, I just want to make the music, man?
No, I like it. I think, you know, when you put yourself out there, it's like an artist, when you put your painting up, you're going to, you know, people are going to come and see the picture and have an opinion.
Like you said, congratulate.
Yeah, man, I like it. I really do like it. It you know, it's part of the story.
Obviously, we're in a time now where almost everybody, their cat, their dog, their mom, their grandma, everybody's rapping.
Yeah.
So why didn't you go that route?
Again, like my mum told me not to follow the
So it goes back to
crowd.
that, don't follow the crowd.
Yeah, but just, you know, I think, again, I growing up in West London, you grow up around all the stereotypical things. I've always been, like, I've hung around with the cool kids, should I say. I've always been with the kids that are a little bit naughty and all of that. And they always respected me for being me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I always say to people, you know, people find it funny, it's like, my nickname's Sweet Pea. Do you know what I mean? And I go all over the place, you know, and I get love because I give love. And I think that's an important thing. I was always myself. I wasn't trying to be anything other than that. So people, I always got love. I always got love from it, whether, you know, from the toughest or from the, you know, the softest.
What's the biggest thing that Bushkin has taught you?
Love over everything, and 100%, and just, you know, being a role model. Being, like, in the sense of, like, being what you say you are, like, always trying to be better. Like, that's one thing I always try and do, be better. Every day I just try and be a better version of myself. I know it might sound corny or whatever, but genuinely, like, you know, I think as an artist, you do have a responsibility as an artist, because to the people that follow you, I'm obviously outside of that, I can't, but people that follow me, definitely.
When I see people like Heartless, I see people that didn't follow the rules.
I know that you say that, sorry to cut you,
Yeah.
but they had their own rules.
No, what I mean is establishment rules. Like what is the norm is like, you know what?
I get
that. I'm doing my thing.
I'm so glad you said that, because sometimes we think that the establishment rules is the rules, but there's a natural rules. No, I'm glad you said it, because, you know, like, a lion doesn't live by the rules of the establishment, but it has rules. Do you know what I mean? It has its own code, and I think that that's important, that people understand that, like, you may not fit into the rules of society, should I say, but there's natural rules. There's rules that that make us better people. Do you know what I mean? Because them rules are just made by people. I'm talking about the rules that are intrinsic enough.
Yeah. I've never agreed with man-made rules. I'm sorry.
Bro, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Because it's so biased. It's like when a man makes a rule, like, say, for example, the government. I hate talking politics, but just say, for example, the government, they make the rules to benefit them and their people.
100%.
And what about everyone else that gets
100%.
pushed to the side? I don't.
100%.
So, yo, I got my rules.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that.
Would you say your journey was easy, hard?
I'm taking it in my stride, and I'm gonna say all journeys are hard. Please, like, whoever, if you're listening to this interview, you know what I mean, and you're going through things, like, understand, it's all lessons and blessings. It's all part of, do you know what I mean, your journey to get to where you're going. It ain't easy, like you said. It really ain't easy. And again, I'll repeat it. It's a blessing that I'm sitting here talking and people are gonna see this, and you know what I mean, like, we was just sitting in our room, dreaming that people would listen to us one day, and they're listening. It's crazy. I always say, people that see me now, I'm on a journey, and you're seeing, you can say that you was here and you was part of it.
You had a little running in with the Whitehead Brothers.
When I was a kid, when we first started singing, and we had got signed. We did a version of 187. You know, your love is a 187.
Sorry, can I just apologize for singing?
No. But, you know, that's bigger record. It's that bigger record. So we done that. Obviously, years later, all the turmoil we've gone through, what we've gone through, and then lockdown. It was in the lockdown. A friend was bringing him over here. He told me about it. He's like, yeah, this guy he wants to make a new version of the record, blah, 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 blah. I'm thinking, you know how the music industry is. People say things, doesn't really come about. Anyway, he gets us on the phone. And the guy, you know, unfortunately, his brother passed away. He tells us about, and he's like, you know what, I want somebody to sing my brother's part. So I'm thinking, okay, cool. At the time, it's really weird, because even at the time, I wasn't thinking, wow, I sang this record back then. Anyway, he comes to London, we have a great time. He's a great guy. Shout out Kenny Whitehead. He comes to the studio, and we're sitting in the studio, and he says to me, play me your version of 187. And I'm sitting there, and it's only then when I'm playing the record and he's sitting there looking at me, and I'm thinking, this is crazy. Like, I was singing this record, like, you made me money. Do you know what I mean? We got put on a booking agency, touring, and I'm now sitting in front of you, and you're singing this song. So yeah, so funny enough, 2 days before, we were in the studio, and Bush had said on a record, and the record's out right now, it's called Stand Out, by the way, myself and MC Bushkin. On this record, he says, there ain't no stopping us now. But little did I know that that's his dad. That's Kenny Whitehead's dad that done that record. So yeah, we were just about to do the video for that. But anyway, we're singing, he's listening to this record, he's saying, oh wow, you got a great voice, we want to do a record. And I'm thinking, how does this even happen? Do you understand me? Like, why me?
Some things are just meant to be.
It reminds me that it's meant to be.
I want to ask you what I feel is an important question, and to put a lot of if there are any doubters out there, which I'm sure there are.
Yeah, of course.
Right? You know, to basically get them to zip their mouths a little bit. And the question is, you have, like you mentioned, you've pretty much jumped on the shoulders of giants, and you're this young buck that's coming, and you're bringing a different energy into the game and everything, into their equation, and fair enough, they've got their reputation, but you know, I'm an artist, and I've had my time, so I know, I'm not saying they've had their time, but I know, like, there comes a point where you need to bring some new fire into it. 100%. So you're that new fire. Now, not taking anything away from, obviously, Heartless or yourself, but what I want you to do is to explain what you bring to the equation and why you're important in that equation.
Okay. Do you know what it is? Like, I'm not just a singer. I'm not just a songwriter. I'm a producer. I'm a musician. And I think that's what's been missing. That essence, like that real, especially in the UK, people that aren't afraid to express themselves. I'm not afraid to express myself. Like, you'll hear some of my music. I've got Afrobeat music. I've got R&B. I've got house records. I write for rappers. I write for singers. Like, so I think, like we were talking about the fear. Like, people like, oh, I don't really want to. You know, like, I don't want to say I'm an R&B singer because...
Have you seen that for yourself?
Yeah, 100%. But the only reason why I don't say I'm an R&B singer is because I'm a musician. I'm not just an R&B singer.
So do you think there's a stigma attached when you say you are an R&B singer?
Yeah, because obviously a lot of people think UK R&B doesn't sell.
So what they should do is be R&B singers and just go and tell everyone I'm a drill rapper.
Well, you know what? Just be yourself. I think the most important, because at the end of the day, if it's dope, it's going to work. If it's dope, it's dope. Like, you know... for example, again, I think a record just came to my mind. If I went into a rave right now and the record came on, it's nothing like this.
Oh,
it's gonna go off.
Come on, man. What
again,
was that?
But that isn't even...
Omar.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that's gonna go off.
But look at how that record has been out for 30 years now, and it's still creating the same kind of wave that it did back then.
I'm gonna say one thing, and this is something I live by, right? I've got Balenciagas on, right? In 5, 6 years, 10 years, no one's gonna care. In 10 years' time, people are still gonna care about Jesus sandals. And in 100 years' time, people are still gonna, what's good is good.
So question, why are you wearing it?
I mean, I like fancy things. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I'm just, that, you know, I'm the cat in the hat.
But that's the devil's work.
I mean, that's arguable. That will lead us somewhere else. I like, It could. It could if, you know, it's like, everything means something to somebody. But
I'm only playing,
no, it's
bro.
all right.
I was never into fashion.
oh, I can't lie. That's one of my guilty pleasures. I mean, you know, my mum told me, and I'll blame it on my mum as well. My mum told me you can't make a first impression twice.
I was taught slightly different. I was taught that if you're going to make an impression by who you are, not by what you wear and what you have.
I think you're 100% right, but I also believe, I'm gonna still, I believe, I agree.
Do you want to
with
fight?
No, but I'm just gonna say that we're visual people. So when you're gonna see me before I speak a lot of the time. You know what I mean? And so that's important. I think it's important that, you know, especially as men, that we look after ourselves and, you know, carry ourselves the right way.
You know what? You told me another story about your experience in Jamaica.
Yes.
All I can say is, my God.
Jamaica was amazing for me. Yeah. And Jamaica was, again, big shout out to Bobby Digital, big shout out to Cully Bud, big shout out to Andrew Tosh, and Dre Tosh. Do you know what I mean? Peter Tosh's grandson.
Oh, wow.
I've done a track with him. I've done a track with Chronics. Yeah. So they embraced me. And that was beautiful for me. That was like, again, another kind of point that let me know, right, this is really what I'm meant to be doing. Do you know what I mean? Because, you know, it was happened so organically. And then a big shout out to Andrew Taff as well, the guy who took me there. You know, I know he's one of those people who don't like to be shouted out like that, okay. But I have to shout him out because he's a person that's seen the star in me, should I say, when I didn't even see it in myself.
Do you see the star in you now?
Yes, of course. 100%. I just understand my responsibility. That's what it is. I think before I thought, you know, like I come from humble beginnings, so saying you're a star, it can sound like a bit egotistical.
But yeah, I want to hear about your experience in the studio in Jamaica.
It was on fire. It was. Do you know what I know out there because they're great performers and they take music seriously. So again, like going to New York, it was another learning experience. I remember we got there and Cully Bud, who's Bobby Digital's son, he said to me, "You ready?" And I was like, we just landed it, and I was like, yeah, of course. He was like, no, tomorrow. He called me Singer. He was like, Singer, tomorrow you're gonna come. And the next day, I'm ready, like 9 o'clock in the morning, waiting. Didn't realize that their time's a little bit different. So we wait the whole day. I thought the opportunity's gone, but about 10 o'clock in the night, he's called up my guy and he's like, "Is Singer ready?" And I'm like, I've been waiting all day. Anyway, he'd given me some beats to write to.
You're probably tired by this time.
Yeah, I was tired, but he'd given me, when it comes to music, it's on. So he'd given me like 5 beats to listen to, but I'd actually written to all of them in the night when he gave them to me. So when I came and sang, he was like, sing that again. And he kept calling people in the studio. And then from there, he was like, no, we're gonna do this album. And then we just done it. And, yeah. I mean, the rest is history. But it was great to be amongst people, that level of performance, that level of seriousness in music. Like, they take it real serious. So, you know, I could only up my game.
I mean, that's incredible that, you know, you get people coming in off the street, they're there playing cards, dominoes, whatever.
They came in and listened, man. Yeah. It was, and the reaction said it all.
And then obviously you've also worked in Bob Marley's studio.
Yeah, man, Tough Gun, yeah. So I remember going there and it was like, I remember someone was playing on the guitar outside. They were playing, what do they call it? They were playing Bob, No Woman, No Cry. And I was just, it was a brain throw. And that, you know what, it actually made me think about how in the UK, we don't have, with like Bushkin, he's making somewhere that you can come and knock on the door and be like, I'm a singer, I'm a rapper.
Imagine 20 years from now, people will be going into a studio you worked in and go, that's where my man worked.
100%, that's what we want to build.
When you were there, did you feel Bob Marley's spirit there while you were doing what you were doing?
I felt 100%. I was more honored and more shell-shocked, to be honest. Because again, I know it sounds corny, but I was just, do you know what I mean? I'm just a little kid. I was a little black boy with a dream. Do you know what I mean? And now I'm standing in Bob Marley's studio, like, and people are taking me serious as an artist. Like,
that's crazy.
How many people even get to say that? Do you know what I mean? We met Bonnie Whaler. Like, we went to his house. Like, this obviously passed away. You know, R.I.P. But like, it's like, how you can't even write this stuff.
No,
like,
you can't.
Do you know what I mean? And again, doing the song with Dre Tosh, he's the direct, you know.
See, I imagine one day if I'm in a situation like that, I imagine that someone like Bob Marley will just tap you on the shoulder and go, kill him with the music.
Well,
You know? So I was hoping you would say something along those lines.
No, just, do you know what I mean? Again, just standing on shoulders. Again, to be able to say these names and, you know, they're part of my story, bro. Like I said, we started just singing as little kids. So this is, you know, and I'm here telling my story. So
Any final words?
just, you know, check out the music, BushBash Recordings. Obviously, check me on Instagram, sweetpea.music. And yeah, there's some great stuff coming. We've got some reggae mixtapes. We've got singles out. Go check the YouTube and just follow the movement with the, you know, BushBash Recordings, the UK's #1 black independent record company.
Best kept R&B secret.
Come on, we're coming.
All right, so if you want to find out more about Sweet Pea, please follow him on all his connection pages, linked in the description below. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, click the bell to receive the notifications, like, share, and get involved in the comment section below. Until next time, stay safe, and thank you again for watching. Peace. Thanks again, bro.
Blessings, sir.